Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome to Chevron Locked, a Stargate-based podcast. My name is BC, just one of your amazing hosts. My more amazing host, the Ted to my Bill. I think that's a safe bet, is Kevin. Kevin, how are you doing?
I feel like I'm Ted Theodore Logan. I'm doing pretty good tonight.
That would make me Bill S. Preston Esquire. And I'm okay with that, dude.
I'll take that any day.
Yeah, you're damn right. So tonight we are recording episode... Oh, shit. Kevin, what are we recording? Episode 20?
21.
21.
21.
I can't believe that.
I know.
That is awesome.
My little baby's growing up.
Yeah, no shit, dude. Like, this shit's getting traction. So, yeah, episode 21 of the podcast tonight. We are looking at season 2. Nope. We are looking at season 3. I am all over the place tonight.
That's
usual. Season 3, we're looking at Shades of Grey, New Ground, and Material Instinct. Specifically, that is episodes 62, 63, and 64. Within season 3, that's 18, 19, and 20. We only have one, besides tonight, we only have one more podcast for season 3, man.
Wow. Yeah, I know. I can't wait.
That is insane.
I know. I feel like I say it every episode, but like, not only was this some of my favorite episodes, but next episode we record, we're going to be watching some of my favorite episodes.
Okay, so I remember Nemesis a little bit. So that one I know I'm going to enjoy. But I don't remember Crystal Skull.
I do.
So, okay, spoiler alert for next week, fucking children. Next week we're looking at Crystal Skull, Nemesis, and Small Victories. So... is Nemesis and Small Victories, is that a 2-part episode that goes from season 3 to season 4?
I honestly don't remember. I don't remember anything beyond just Crystal Skull for next week. I haven't looked into it. I don't look ahead, but seeing the name Crystal Skull makes me so happy.
So let's just move right into 50 Shades of Grey.
Fantastic.
Or Shades of Grey.
Well,
the whole time I'm watching that, I was just thinking 50 Shades of Grey, by the way.
I did watch it 50 times, so it counts.
Oh, that definitely counts, my friend. Shades of Grey, yeah. Why don't you tell us what we're going to be talking about?
So to recap, Shades of Grey is the episode where they go to New Tolan to see if they can negotiate for a little bit of technology. And, of course, they say no because they're dicks. And Jack takes it upon himself to rip some shit out of the wall and go back home, where he is summarily dismissed and then recruited by that rat bastard in the NID, my favorite guy ever, Mayborn. And he is tasked with leading Mayborn's off-planet band of pillagers who basically just go around taking what they want and somehow communicating it back to Earth. Jack thwarts their plans, calls in the Asgard backup, and steps through the gate, arresting literally everybody that was doing the bad stuff.
Well, everyone but Mayborn.
Well, I mean, come on. I can't wait to see that come up again. I know. That was the one thread that they left hanging that I wish we had something to address in this episode.
Yeah, that was... and that's part of my notes, is that they talked about... I'm sorry, the one colonel, the one guy that took over SG-1 when Jack, quote-unquote, retired, he, at the end when he's arrested, he's like, you don't know how far up the chain this goes. And I'm like, yes, let's address that. Let's talk about how far up that goes.
Exactly.
And they don't. Right now, at least.
Yeah, it was Makepeace was his name.
Yes, Colonel Makepeace. Thank you.
I knew I had that in my notes. I'm like looking over it like, oh my God, where is it?
That's cool because I was actually trying to Google that right as we were talking about that. So what did you think of the episode overall, man? Was that an episode that you enjoyed?
Oh, this was a great episode. This was by far one of my favorite episodes of the entire series. This is one of those, I keep talking about them, one of those standout episodes that I just love. I think it's great. It shows the scope of what they're doing. It shows the consequence of it. And it shows the different views of what we should be doing. You've got Mayborn and his crew that think we should be just taking what we want, we've got the SGC being run by the white hat good guys. They're trying to negotiate. They're trying to, get what they can the right way. They're trying to make friends and allies. And, this really illustrates how strong some of those allies are and how good it is to have those allies versus just taking the things and sort of making a bad name for yourself out there in the universe.
I definitely agree with you there that I think it's more important to have the allies versus it is to have the technology. And I think that was something that that Hammond echoed pretty well when he was laying into Jack for stealing the technology. That it's more important that we have these people as allies than necessarily than we have their technology that they can provide, even though specifically so far as what we know as viewers, the Nox and the Tolan have by far like the most badass technology.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like the technology that would absolutely be a game changer in a war with the Goa'uld.
No, I mean, we talked about this when we talked about the episode where the Nox and the Tolan had Skara on trial. One of those cannons would take out a fleet attacking the planet, and they had 38 of them or something.
Yeah, something ridiculous, some ungodly number. No, I agree with you there. The one thing I enjoyed this episode, just like you, for being a standalone episode. So I guess technically it's a standalone episode, but it did kind of fill out a little bit more of the Mayborn character and what he's doing on the show.
Yeah, exactly. This brings back the Tolan, the Asgard, all of that. I mean, I don't think this was a standalone episode. I think this shows that they have respect for us and that we have respect for them. And I think this is my argument from day one. This shows the growth. So even though this wasn't some episode where we encounter something new, it's an episode that shows growth on things we already know.
Yes. I absolutely agree with you. I would kind of argue that it is still a standalone episode, but it's not a standalone like fluffer episode where they just threw some shit together.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So this was one of those episodes I did not remember anything about from previous watchings of the show at all. So I'm sitting there watching and I'm like, holy shit, Jack's losing his fucking mind, especially when they get back, and Jack's like, no, I stole that shit. I took it. And Hammond's ripping into him. I'm kind of looking for the angle, right? Because clearly we know that Jack didn't do that on his own. So as I'm watching that episode, I'm like, okay, what's the angle here? And then Mayborn shows up at his door, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, Jack's doing this to get to he's going to infiltrate Mayborn's little group. So that was really my only complaint, is that once Mayborn showed up, it kind of gave away what Jack was doing, like his motivation and why he was being a dick and why he stole that shit in the first place. At that point, I kind of pieced it together, I guess.
Sure, but I mean, at that point, really, if you're watching it through for the first time, they could have been doing some sort of red herring. Spoiler alert for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they did that on that show, where one of the good guys for season 1 was not a good guy after that. That could have been happening here. Who knows?
It could have been. No, you're absolutely right, man. And again, this is where it's going to come into play that I've seen enough of the episodes, to understand. But one of the other things I have in my notes is that so Jack shows back up to the SGC because he wants to be retired, quote unquote, off world, right?
Yeah.
So Jack can just show back up to the SGC.
Yeah. I know. The whole thing was just kind of weird. It's like you not only are you retired, but you're retired under suspicious circumstances. Yeah. You can't just get a visitor's pass. That's not how this works.
That was like, that kind of threw me off the episode a little bit, man. I'll be honest with you.
But I'm not going to lie, that is typical Jack, like showing up and being able to get on base. That is something he would be able to do because he's just such a gregarious person.
You're right.
He would show up and he would know something about the person at the gate. He wouldn't know their name. He wouldn't know their family, but he'd know that they loved the Cubs or something. Some weird tick that would get him in because that's Jack.
Yep. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Because I don't think that could work with Daniel.
Yeah.
I think it could maybe work with Teal'c, just because people understand that he's an alien. At least the people that are on the base. Maybe that works with Teal'c. And it doesn't work with Carter. I think that really your only character that works with is Jack. You know? That you can kind of write that in there and not have to give it a whole lot of explanation.
Yeah, no.
You know?
That's exactly it.
So I don't know why I wrote it down, because I just thought it was funny. Towards the end of the episode, we get Maypeace is bending, like, it was such an archetype. Maypeace he's bending over to tie his shoe, and that's how he pulls the artifact out of the DHD, you know?
I know. That's such a weird thing.
Yeah, I know. And then Jack goes through, and then which I don't know if that was Thor or if that was just a regular Asgard. We don't know that information. But
I think it had to be Thor, though.
See, I kind of pictured it as being Thor too, because you get to the end of the episode and they're talking about how the Asgards and the Tolans and the Nox had come to the SGC, basically saying, "Hey, you know, our shit's stolen from you assholes." And then I was like, so Thor teleports down to the surface, which we don't know why. Who knows why? But I was like, oh, Shades of Grey.
Yeah, I had the same moment. No, and he teleported down because he's a dirty little creeper and for no other reason.
God, I love Thor. I love that character, dude, so much. But yeah, as soon as he teleported, I'm like, oh, Shades of Grey, I get it. Like, no, I don't know if that was the reason why they named the episode, but I'm like, okay, that works now.
It was. I'm sure it was that and the sort of, you know, whether this was lawful or not. Because really, what are they arresting these people they're bringing back for? For being off planet? There is no law in the books against that.
There's not. You're right.
You know, seriously. So they threw them in jail for nothing. You know what? We should start a court case and see if we can get them released, because I'm sure they're still there.
Oh yeah, they're in Guantanamo. Sorry,
but space Guantanamo. But this was like, this whole plan was just such a Rube Goldberg machine of random parts having to come together at the same time, between them going to certain planets and dropping off stuff, and Thor being able to beam down to see the gate that they dialed to, which was, I'm sure, the reason that he beamed down, so that he can go there and then attack them, so that Jack can scare them back to Earth. Just how many parts had to fall into place for this, and how many people had to buy every step of the way, was just it. That's sort of the most mind-blowing part of this. Not the fact that they're traveling to the other side of the universe or talking to little green men or little gray men, but the fact that they relied on this just harebrained scheme and that it worked.
Yes. And you're right. When you think of like all the small little pieces that had to work out, like it just does, though, man. And it makes the episode so fucking good. Really, the only complaint I could have about all the small little pieces is that you would think out of all those people, either Carter or Daniel would know of the Nox, the Asgard, and or the Tolan coming to the SGC.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. Like the fact that they had to work this out ahead of time, and that no one knew that the Nox had, or the Tolan had come and complained, or that the Asgard had heard that people were complaining that the SGC was stealing their tech. You're right. That's beyond me.
Yeah. That's really the only complaint. Like, the rest of the episode, I thoroughly enjoyed, man. I thoroughly fucking loved that episode. There was just that little part at the end where you're just like, really, like, you, out of all those people, Carter or Daniel would have heard about them coming to visit.
Daniel was off this episode, though. There was definitely something different about him. Like, he was very aggressive this episode, between mansplaining how laws work to the Tolan, and then demanding a beer when he got to Jack's, and then telling Jack off at the end, and saying that he lost the bet and had to go. He was the one that had to go see them out of the three. Like, there was just something really aggressive about him that you don't usually see.
Yeah. See, when I watched the end of that episode, the way I pictured it was that the drawing of straws never happened. That was just something that Daniel was saying to Jack, and then the others were just like, yeah, fuck you for not letting us in on that, and they just kept their mouth shut.
And really, that's the best part is that works either way.
It
So
does.
either he really did lose, or he's just telling Jack, "Fuck you," and I'm happy with either one.
Yeah, I really am too, man. It was a good end of that episode. I, however, didn't really get the feeling that something was off with Daniel, either in the acting or the writing. At least I didn't pick up on that watching it.
Oh, that's up to you.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a great episode though, man. That was and I think this is something we're going to echo from last week, or maybe the week before. I can't remember. That was a good example of a quote unquote filler episode when you don't need to propel the story forward necessarily, but you want to flesh out a lot of information and characters.
Sure. Absolutely. I did feel a little bit like this episode was like a 90s cheesy cop drama at the end when Makepeace grabs Newman and is like, "We got you now, Newman."
We got you.
Because I expected someone to be like, "How did you know his name was Newman?" and like arrest Makepeace.
Yeah.
And then Jack went up and attacked him anyway. But it's like no one, like you don't necessarily know who these guys are.
Yeah.
And yet Makepeace grabbed him and called him by name. You
Well,
know?
that, and then when Jack was just like, "Hey, you got another set of those?"
Yeah, what do you need them for?
hands them to
Oh,
him.
you're into some really weird stuff. No, that's cool.
Oh man, yeah. If I was guilty, even if I thought I was the only one who knew I was guilty, I probably wouldn't give up those fucking cuffs.
No, not for a second. I mean, what do you need them for, buddy?
Yeah, no, it's okay, Jack. Sit this one out. I got it. You know, that type of thing. Or aren't you retired? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something,
What are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly.
Just shoot him.
Quick question though, because I figured maybe you would know. This was something I believe we talked about last week. At the start of that episode, we got the external shot of the new Tolan Society.
Yeah.
Is that the same place that you were talking about, where the college in Canada?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I as soon as the episode started, you kind of got that exterior shot, and I was like, oh wow, that architecture really is quite amazing.
Yeah, it's a good looking place.
Yeah, no, and it works for a different society, like something that looks completely different from Earth-based stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
No, so I just wanted to see if you knew. That's all. That's all I had in my notes about Shades of Grey, my friend.
The only other thing I had is that I just love the thought that they made Daniel do absolutely hours worth of just make work, knowing that the Tolan were not going to listen to him. Like everyone there except him, Sam, and Teal'c knew the score. They knew what was up.
Yeah, and that was a very throw-off remark at the end of the episode.
Oh,
That Daniel
so much
actually, yeah. And you're right, man. Like, that is such good writing to put that in there, because that's not anything I would have thought of as the episode ended without Daniel making a reference of, do you know how much work I put into that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Daniel, forever Jack's lackey. But, let's be honest, Daniel gets a bit of redemption in this episode. Not that episode, in this episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a look at New Ground, my friend.
All right. So in New Ground, that is where they are doing a cold dial of old, disused Stargate addresses, and one of them connects. And so even though there's no DHD, they go through to see what they can do, because there's some people on the other side who think that they're gods. And, of course, they do really not a lot to dissuade them once they get there. I mean, they say it, but they let them keep believing it. They get captured, except for Teal'c, who blinds himself because he's an idiot. And then Teal'c does a buddy cop thing with the worst kid in the world, and they manage to free everybody else and wind up kidnapping that kid in the process.
Yes, or liberating that kid in the process.
Kidnapping.
Okay, all right, potato, got it. Yeah. So, what did you think of the episode?
I like this episode.
Okay,
I liked,
good.
You know what? I didn't have a bad episode this week.
Yeah, I didn't either, to be honest with you. I really didn't have one bad episode this week. I liked them all for different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of nitpicky things about this episode, but nothing overall that was a big flaw with it. I love the fact that they're still trying to explore things that they haven't explored previous. by dialing older Stargate addresses, I'd give up. There's so much to explore. There's no chance you're going to get to them all, but it's a great little thing to have just a little tidbit of information about this. You're showing some other growth. You're showing some other peoples out there. I thought that was really cool. You've got a society that for some reason is more advanced than ours, even though it was a much smaller population and has had less time to work. But that's fine. That's neither here nor there. I'm not an anthropologist. I'm not going to make the argument.
See, and going back to what you just said, I loved that it was Carter that had, in backstory, had written a program that would just auto dial these addresses. Like, I thought that was a fantastic addition to the SGC, that she created this program to keep redialing these addresses and to see if at one point in time they could get a lock on it,
There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
Fucking genius.
It is. It's absolutely genius. And just another one of the reasons why, at least me personally, I think that Carter's character is really expanding to more of a point that she's a very integral part of not just SG-1 per se, but of the SGC in general. That she brings enough new stuff to the SGC that her character is just blossoming, right? For lack of better words. The only thing I will say is, what perfect timing. It was just one of those episodes that you just happen to have the perfect timing of, I made this fucking program and it's going to auto dial, and oh shit, I got a connection to this planet, and this planet was just happened to be doing some fucking,
Yeah, it's been like 2 minutes since they uncovered the gate, and we're dialing in.
Yeah, it was just like, who knows? Like maybe the program she wrote just is working at astronomical speeds in terms of just constantly dialing different addresses until it gets a lock. But I doubt that's the case.
I mean, there's got to be a bunch of downtime, so maybe, but I don't know. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I'm not buying that particular aspect. I am buying, however, that idea, that program is fantastic.
Yeah, no doubt.
What's the next thing I have in my notes? Oh, yeah. Teal'c gets a kill. So, Teal'c kills a dude, right?
Yeah. Yep.
With a Zask on his side.
With a what? Who what?
With the stun weapon.
He didn't kill a guy with the stun
No.
weapon. He shot him with his blast.
Yeah, no, he shot him with the staff. But he had the stun weapon on him.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
So that part kind of bothers me in this show, and it's something that gets repeated a little bit every now and then, is that I don't understand why you still carry the staff weapon if you're also going to carry the taser. You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly, or maybe strap the staff weapon to your back and carry the taser as your primary. If you think you're going to need to use a weapon, I would just think that at this point, they would lean towards the fact of using a non-lethal weapon first, just to knock somebody out and be like, hey, okay, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, I think he was just, I don't know. I think he was shooting at the ships and he just got confused and he was just a jerk and he killed a guy.
It's very jerky.
It was an accident. I forgive him.
I mean, I forgive him. It's Teal'c. How can you not love the guy? I'm just saying that some shit could have been avoided if you would have just zapped him.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus just blowing a hole in his fucking chest. So, I don't know. Unless he's trying to kill more people than Daniel has died.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, that would be the only thing. What else do you have in your notes before? Do you have anything towards the start of that episode?
Yeah, when they're cold dialing the gate, Sam calls everybody in. She's like, "Hey, everyone, we got a hit. It's still dialing. How do you know? Are you just guessing? Like, were you just lucky that you were right? Do you call everybody in like 6 times a night, but this was the one you happened to be right, so they showed it on the show?"
Well, so what I'm wondering, going back to that program, is did she make that program almost like she created like a virtual dialing device so that it would just it could just automatically dial those things and be like, okay, we've got a lock, let's move on to the next one.
I don't know. Like, Shit. I mean, it would have to fail if there's something in the iris,
I would think so.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm confused by this whole thing.
Yeah. No, this is one of those pieces of technology that I hope to get more of down the road. And I don't know if we do or not.
No, I don't think we really do.
Yeah. It will. I'm sure it may be something that may be said off cuff remark type of thing.
Yeah. And then the other thing I had for this one, when they don't see the DHD and they decide to go through, Hammond's just very cavalier about, well, why don't you take the Nakwita reactor?
Yeah.
Why don't you take the thing that you invented with the help of a little girl that we haven't seen tested? And Teal'c gives him a look like, fuck you, I know that means I'm the one that's going to be dialing this.
He does, too. He fucking stares at him like, fuck, this is going to come down on me somehow.
Yeah, I mean, so if everything goes 100% right, there's a scene in the middle of this episode with Teal'c with his shirt off just dialing the gate.
Yeah. Well, and the other factor with that is that when they get off-world and they see that those planes are coming, Jack says something to Carter like, hey, start dialing, we're out of here. And Carter's like, I'm going to need 5 minutes.
No shit.
I'm like, so
seriously? Like,
I
knew that.
Yeah, you took a Nakwita reactor, like this backup generator, like you said, that hasn't been tested, which is a great scene in Ghostbusters, by the way. I don't know if you remember that when they're sitting when they're standing in the elevator and they're like, we've never had a successful test of these proton packs, like it's very much like that. And she's like, I'm gonna need 5 minutes. I'm like, no. Why would you, you can't have 5 minutes. You can't ensure that wherever you're about to go to, you're going to have 5 minutes of time to hook up some wiring.
5 minutes? It's going to take you more than 5 minutes to hook up your unlicensed nuclear reactor to this giant stone gate.
It's not nuclear, buddy. It's
I'm sorry.
Nakwita.
That was another Ghostbusters reference.
Yes, it was. I know. Oh God, it's so good. I love it how he turns on rays and then they both back up to the corner of the fucking elevator. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I can't get past Star Wars. Jesus Lord, Ghostbusters references every now and then. No, I completely agree. I did leave a note, right, that they get freed. Right, Teal'c and shit. I should have wrote down that kid's name. Narquin.
It was Nyan.
Nyan. Thank you. Teal'c and Nyan crash land the ship through the force field, and they start hosing down fire. And Naren's able to go and free us. The rest of SG-1, they get out, and Jack tells Daniel to start dialing. Right. And so as he's dialing, they're all outside. And I'm like, well, you guys don't have your GDOs. You guys don't have your fucking codes to get back home.
Yeah, I had the exact same thought.
And then they answered it. I love the fact that show fucking answered that question. As soon as I wrote that down, you go to a scene of Teal'c dialing in his code.
No, I love it when I make a note in my little notebook and then have to scratch it out because they address it. That is the best feeling in the world.
No, it absolutely is, man. I was ready to go after them tonight for that. I really was. I was going to fucking tear into them for not doing that, and then boom, it's corrected right then and there. If I would have just fucking stopped writing for fucking 40 seconds, it would have been answered.
Watch the damn episode. Stop writing. Stop making notes.
Exactly. So I thought that was fantastic. I really did, man. That whole ending of that episode where they're exchanging fire with the I'm not going to attempt to announce or pronounce the inhabitants of that world. When they're exchanging fire with those guys, and Daniel's got his head down trying to dial home, and they're running through the gate one at a time. I thought that was just fantastic action sequence.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, I thought that the whole weapons for the enemy there were kind of concerning for me, because not only are the weapons the keys to unlock the jail, which is a problem in and of itself, but they also couldn't hurt anybody through a small Mylar tent.
Correct.
Because that's what SG-1 was using to hide from these shots, was the tent that they had hastily set up that moved when the Malp moved against it.
Yeah.
And they were fine. Everyone was fine.
No injuries at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I do see that. And again, that would be us nitpicking on that particular aspect of it. Going back to that,
but
though, I like the look of the weapons.
I do, but I think it's also interesting, and this raises a really interesting point, that we're getting such a small snapshot of these planets. Because these were the Bedrosians, and these were not the Optricans.
Optricans, yes.
That we hear that are the ones that are enlightened, that believe that they were brought from another planet. So we're getting one of a peoples on a world. Because really, I mean, a lot of these worlds, a lot of sci-fi worlds, they're like desert worlds, and they're this and they're that, and all the people have one government, and they believe one thing. And that's not how it is on Earth, and that's not how I believe it would be anywhere else. And so it is kind of cool to have a planet where you have strife and you have conflict and you have normal people on it. I mean, not that these were normal people, but you get normal reactions.
No. You know what? You're completely 100% right, man, and that's not something that I necessarily thought of when I was watching the episode. But you're right that one could assume that a lot of these planets that SG-1 goes to visit would be a lot like America, or like the Earth, in terms of you have different beliefs, you have different agendas. You know that
right.
Not everybody's going to share the exact same thought pattern with you, you know, that type of thing. And I think this episode did a great job of exploring that.
Yeah, no, it's exactly it.
No, good pickup on that, dude. Yeah, I really didn't think of the episode that far, that you know, something like that. So, no, good job, buddy. The only other note I had, and I think this is something that has come up a couple of times, is they just left all their weapons on that planet.
Yeah.
Which is...
They left the Malp. They left the Naquita reactor. There's some shit they got to account for there. That was terrible.
Yeah. That was the... Now, granted, I understand they're not able to get necessarily... it's not like they were able to get that stuff back. But still, I would have liked to see them at least acknowledge the fact that, oh shit, we left, you know, all this technology on another world.
I guess, yeah, exactly. Like, you need to have some sort of, like, even if it's a throwaway line in the next episode where they're like, well, we sent through a military contingent and they were able to reacquire all of our stuff.
Yeah, that's, you know what, that would have actually sufficed for me, to be honest with you. That would have absolutely sufficed for me, so...
You know, it's not like it would have been tough. If we take them by surprise, their weapons are just irons on sticks. Like, you're fine. You can take them down. That was the most awkward thing to wave around ever.
Yeah. No, it was. But, man, they look so good. Like, I loved the look of those weapons. I loved the look of the projectile that came off of them. I was actually...
The sound that it made. It was actually... This was a well-done episode.
It was. And going back to a statement that you made earlier... I was actually okay with them being also the key to unlock the cells. I thought that was just a cool little bonus.
It's fine, but I just think that, all you need is one dude with one weapon, and you can unlock any cell that you have.
Well, we don't know. Well, yeah, we do know.
Maybe they do
know because he picked up a weapon off a dude outside, and that unlocked all three of them.
Yeah. And so... One thing I did want to touch on that happened a little earlier in the episode, actually two things. Teal'c, after he got shot in the face by himself and blinded, he's in the cave and he sends Nyan off to get whatever he was trying to get to heal Teal'c. And Nyan comes back and Teal'c's like wrist deep in his stomach pouch. What the fuck was that? Was that the Jafar version of playing with himself, or was he trying to do something else?
I thought that. I'm like, are you trying to like fucking squeeze your fucking symbiote like into action or something? Like, what are you fucking doing, dude? Like, we've never seen that before.
You're playing with the wrong snake, buddy. This is not how that works.
Well, maybe that is how it works for him.
Who knows? I couldn't say.
We don't know. Now we definitely have to label this episode as explicit because you made a masturbation reference, sir.
I have. Well, to be fair, I've never seen Teal'c without pants on, so I don't know what he does downstairs.
Maybe he's just like a fucking Ken doll.
Yeah, it's smooth, dolphin smooth.
Oh, that's stupid. and funny at the same time. Now, what was your? Because I do have a question for you, but what was your second thing about that? About this episode?
The second thing was who let the blind guy drive. So when him and Nyan were coming at the camp, and the ship hits literally everything on screen.
Here's the question you have to ask yourself. Did they plan to make it look like it crashed, or did they just...
I couldn't tell. I mean, to be fair, you have two people who have not, up to that point, handled one of these ships.
Correct.
And one of them is blind, so it really could be any answer.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it could be. Oh, God, that was such a great part. I'm really surprised you have not brought up the theory you have that Jack enjoys electricity yet.
Oh my God, I didn't even think of it. That's awesome.
Because there was a great part where he gets hit with the Zat gun, and then he falls over into the fucking electric fucking pen that he was in, and the look on his face was like, oh yes, like he was thoroughly enjoying it.
He's fine. He loved it. He did. He loved every second of that. That is amazing. See, you're proving my theory. You're showing that I'm right, even when I don't think.
I don't know if I don't know if I'm proving your theory. All I'm proving is that you now have that in my head. So whenever I see him get electrocuted, that's all I think about now.
That's exactly
is his high pain tolerance to that.
Yeah. You got anything else?
No, that was it for that episode, homie.
The only other thing I have for this episode is that this whole episode was just one big plan for Daniel to get an unpaid intern.
Oh, yes.
And it worked.
It did work. Okay, speaking of that, did you find it weird that Naren had no fucking desire whatsoever to get back to his homeworld?
What was for him there? I mean, he'd spent his whole life raised by religious zealots, and then they were proven 100% undeniably wrong. He's going to go back home and get shot for helping the SGC. He's going to go home and be the only one on his entire continent that believes that they are wrong. Fuck no, I'd stay where I am.
Okay, I will make the argument. Now we have to assume, we have to assume a few things here. Okay, let's assume that they can get him back through the Stargate in one piece, right? Like that they haven't completely quarantined that off. Okay, let's get past that. I will reverse your argument and say that he goes to the other continent and is the only person there that can prove that they are correct.
How can he prove it? See, this is the problem with what you're saying.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
If he goes through and he goes to the other continent, so he's the only one that knows that it's true, but the others already know it's true from belief. What's the fucking difference? He's just a schmuck that's cleaning the floors because everyone there knows what he knows.
Because I think that he now has just a little bit more information that they didn't have previous. Is that, now again, this is only what he was told from a group of aliens, but he knows at that point that the Stargate was built for travel, right? Not for the creation of a planet necessarily, because we never really got into what Octonians... Was that the other race? Optricans. We never got too much information in terms of what they believed, in terms of like how the Stargate worked or anything like that. But he would be the only person on that planet that would have ever. He would have been one of the only few people that saw it operational, and the only that went through it. Now, granted, he would have no proof of that unless Teal'c went back with him, like they talked about at the end of the episode, or if. And again, this is all barring the fact that they could get back through the Stargate, because I would have a good feeling that they would have buried that Stargate or kept it in a force field or something, like that they would have tried to keep that from coming back through. But it just seemed weird to me that he didn't at least want. There wasn't at least a part of him that didn't want to go back home and prove the other theories. Correct.
See, this is why you're never going to be the hero in a movie or anything like that, is because the hero doesn't say, well, that was nice, now I'm going to go home. They're looking for adventure. This kid's looking for adventure. And sure, that adventure is cataloging Daniel Jackson's discards, but damn if that's not adventure.
Yeah, well, and it may be for him, but didn't he make the statement that the only thing being it's just as good to be proven wrong about my theories than it is to prove my theories correctly.
Sure, it's knowledge, and that's my point. He's going to learn more staying here, taking Daniel's table scraps, than he is going to be going home and having no more knowledge than anybody else there.
But he would have more knowledge than anyone else there.
He would have a more certain knowledge, but no more knowledge. They all know what he knows. The only thing he knows that they don't is that there are still people out there. But that makes no difference to them.
See, this is an episode that is prime to go back and look into.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I'd love to go back there and see the revolution, but you're not going to get it. Because the only other people that would know about this are the members of the military who are going to keep it quiet, and the girl that was with him, who I'm certain they murdered.
Yeah, she's dead. She's dead as shit.
I mean, really, honestly, the way that they talked about her, she's dead.
I absolutely agree.
And she was probably murdered by the female military Bedrosian woman, Parry, who is Jean Grey's mom in X-Men, whatever the 3 or whatever it was, because she was evil.
Okay, I will say that we could potentially come back around and see more of this. And I will...
I could see it.
No, I could see it happening on the Chevron Locked RPG.
I know. I could see
That's
it happening.
all I'm saying. I'm going to throw that out there. I think that
see.
this episode is one of those episodes that could be played out in that Stargate RPG tabletop game.
That's funny. We can give it a shot.
Which, if any of our listeners haven't checked out, we recorded an episode, and you should check that out. See how I did that nice little plug there?
That was awesome.
Nice.
That was very smooth. No one will see that coming.
Nobody. It's not like I wrote that down. So, let's move on to Maternal Instincts, my friend.
All right. So, Maternal Instincts. This is an episode where the Stargate opens up unexpectedly, and we do get the GDO code from Tecmate Braytak. And he comes storming through with Chief from Battlestar Galactica, who has been shot. And Apophis has destroyed or attacked Chulak. And Teal'c's all hot and heavy, wants to go back and smack Apophis around. They decide instead to go after the Harcesis. So they figure out, because Braytak's always known, apparently, how to get to the one place they've been looking for 3 years. Or for a year since he went there, but they've been looking for the kid, and before that, Sha're forever. And apparently all you have to do is talk to Braytak.
Yep.
So they go there. They meet a monk who can control fire with his mind and fucks with Daniel to make Daniel think he can do that. And then, Daniel takes the kid back, almost gets destroyed, and gives the kid to some glowing being who disappears.
Yep. That's a fairly good representation of what we just fucking witnessed.
Yeah, I mean, this was a confusing episode, not a bad episode, and it opens up a lot of space, again, for things that we hadn't seen before, that we will see again, that we're going to get expanded on. But fuck, if this wasn't just all over the place.
Oh, God, dude. I'm so glad you said that. Like, I felt like we were trying to watch 3 episodes at once.
Yeah, really. Like, there should have been an episode about the attack on Chulak.
That, you're absolutely right, man. That would have made a great episode. And what? Apophis isn't dead?
Oh, no. Someone should teach him how to be dead. I nominate Daniel.
Yeah.
Let's send Daniel. He's the one with the most experience. He knows how to die. There we go.
Yeah,
done.
Exactly. This fucking episode, just like you said, man, it was just so all over the place. And there was definitely, it was a good episode. It was, but they just jammed so much fucking shit into this. Like, shit that will be paid off way down the road, as people that have seen the show know. But even as a first-time watcher, like, there was just way too much involved in this episode.
Yeah, no, it was just... I don't even know. Like, I feel like this was an episode that they wrote before they really knew where they were going with it, and then just kind of went with the first draft.
Yep, and just said, yep, this is it.
That's good enough. We're going to stick with that.
I will say, towards the beginning of that episode, Braytak must be the world's greatest detective. Like, he's the Batman of the Stargate universe. Like,
You know what? In 134 years or whatever it is in this episode, I would imagine he would have the skills to do what he does.
whew, man, those skills though. Like, and even Jack called him on it too. Like, that was so good because as I'm watching it, I'm like, there's no way. Like, how do you know this shit? And yeah, he's like, well, how do you know? And he's like, well, if you look at her body, like her hands weren't tied, so she must have been carrying something, and they shot low. And
Exactly. I think the best part of that was that after Braytak makes those claims, Teal'c is the one that explains it. So it's not just that he was bluffing or he's bullshitting. Teal'c sees the same thing.
so maybe it's a Jaffa thing.
Maybe it's just that, yeah, I mean, really, this is the world they grew up in. This is not something Jack or the team encounter on a day-to-day basis. You don't have people shot by staff weapons after running through the woods barefoot on
No,
Earth.
I agree.
And so this is every day for them.
But it's not that you're the world's greatest detective, but you're also the world's greatest tracker. You know?
Sure. I mean, they weren't trying to disguise themselves. This chick's running through the woods in sandals.
Yeah, no, I agree, but still, I was amazed. That's all. I was amazed at his detective work there. What else? I only have like 4 notes for this whole episode, right? Because it was just all over the place.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of a problem with Daniel in this episode, and it was about halfway through the episode. Daniel had a little bit too much Jack in him, and I say that because Daniel's been known, and Daniel is kind of your level-headed character in this show so far.
Yeah.
And right when they meet the monk, not right, but right after they meet the monk, Daniel and the monk sit down, and the monk's trying to get Daniel to light the candle with his mind. And Daniel, like, throws out a line like, oh, this isn't like a trick candle, is it? You know, like, it was a very Jack-centric line, and there was a couple of those in there that I'm like, I think the writer got that wrong. That was supposed to be for Jack, not for Daniel.
Seriously.
Like, it was just, I don't know. The comedic timing for Daniel was very, very on, and he was very funny in that episode, but it didn't feel like Daniel either, necessarily. In some parts, the very end of that episode definitely was Daniel. Like, that was a very Daniel Jackson-esque ending of an episode.
Yeah, when they're pinned down, everybody has weapons trained on him. Everybody's got weapons trained on the other guys, and Daniel's response is disarm.
Yeah.
Fuck. Come on. No, I'm not doing that.
Even the throwaway line, like, he says something to Jack. He goes, hey, if you were ever going to trust me, now is the time to do it right now. Like, even that line felt like a Daniel line. And even
totally.
before that, when he gets the baby and he's getting ready to leave, and he turns around and he makes some point like, he's talking to the ghost. We'll just call her a ghost for right now.
Oma, yeah.
When he's talking to Oma, he's like, you're the one who lit the candles. And, you can see the wheels turning, and he starts to figure everything out. Like, that was all very Daniel Jackson-esque stuff. It was just right in the heart of that episode. I was just like, man, Daniel had these little one-liners. I was like, no. That's all for Jack right there.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think that's, like we were saying, this was a rushed episode. Like, maybe that was Jack, but maybe they cut Jack out of that scene.
It's very possible, man. Even to the very last line of that episode, the very last scene, they're all walking away, and Jack goes, Daniel, shoes. Yeah. And it's to go to show that, Daniel was so out of his element that he forgot to put his shoes on, and it was Jack that had to remind him. Like, that's how Jack should be written. That's how Daniel should be written. And it just seemed like in the middle of this episode that Daniel was just written a little off for me. That's all.
Yeah, no, you're right. He's so smart that he's an idiot, and he does such a good job playing that in this episode.
Yeah. No, I will never take anything away from his acting. Like, he plays that Daniel character so well 95% of the time.
Yeah, definitely.
What else did you have about this episode?
I thought it was a really cool effect when they had the lightning come down and kill the Jaffa.
Yeah, but did you not think that the Jaffa screamed a little bit too long?
You know what? I loved it, though. I did. I thought that was more because this wasn't normal lightning. Not normal lightning doesn't move like that anyway. I figured that it was there it was there to fuck them up. It was. You ever see the warning sign that says, "Not only will this kill you, but it will hurt the entire time." I felt like that's what this was. This was lightning that was toned down so that it didn't immediately kill them, so that it could just kind of mess with them a little bit and then kill them. Because in this, Oma was a bitch.
Yeah, she was vengeful. Very, very vengeful.
I mean, really, there was no reason that Jack and the crew had to disarm. She knows who the good guys are. Kill the bad guys.
Yeah.
But there wasn't that moment. Daniel didn't believe that she would do that. And I believe that he's right. I believe that if they hadn't disarmed, they all would have died because she seemed unstable.
No, I agree that she would have wiped out everything to protect herself and that child. You know? Yeah. I think that part of it, and I think some of that could be explained during, there was the monk scene with Daniel where he's talking about, Daniel's like, I just want to protect the child and shit like that, and the monk has his explanation. I truly think that Oma was willing to kill everybody there to ensure that child's safety.
Was the monk Oma? Because I got confused when he died at the end and then became light, and then Oma comes out of that. Was there a monk?
I see what you're saying. I hope that that's not the case. I would like to believe that monk was there as some sort of protector that was different from Oma, but I can see that it could be that Oma was the monk type of thing. But I don't want that to be.
So if that's the case,
anyway, is
Oma Xander Feng in House of Cards?
Ooh, see, I haven't watched House of Cards yet, so I can't tell you.
That was the monk. The monk plays this guy named Xander Feng in, I think it's season 2 of House of Cards.
All right. I am so sorry I haven't watched. I think I'm one of 5 people on the planet that hasn't watched House of Cards yet.
I believe you're right.
Fuck, I gotta start that shit. But no, I would like to believe, as watching that episode, I would like to believe that Oma and the monk were 2 separate entities. I don't think the monk was human. I do think the monk was something else, but I do believe that there was 2 separate entities there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was just that spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen anything later, stop listening now, but maybe when he died, she helped him ascend. Yes. Maybe that's what we were seeing, and maybe it was just, that, but it certainly looked like that was her.
Yeah. I can see how that could look at both ways, to be honest with you. Yeah, so. Any other notes about that?
I had literally no other notes.
Neither. I just took that one for face value. So, yeah, that's all I had for those 3 episodes. Just 3 good episodes, man. Really good episodes.
Yeah. Yeah, except for the last one, nice and tight episodes. But even the last one, I'll give some leeway to because it was a good episode.
I think you hit the nail right on the head there, man. 2 out of 3 very tight episodes, very well written, very well contained episodes, and then the third one was a little bit all over the place, but we get some payoff way down the road. So,
yep.
I'm good with that. So like we said at the beginning of the episode, next week is Crystal Skull, Nemesis, and Small Victories. So Crystal Skull and Nemesis are actually the end of Season 3, and Small Victories is going to start Season 4. So we're just fucking rolling through this shit, dude. This is crazy. Before we know it, we're going to be on some Atlantis shit.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That should be so much fun.
I can't wait, dude. Atlantis is the part of the series that I remember the least amount. So I am so excited to rewatch those episodes.
Good. I really can't wait. Like I said, I think my wife is going to watch those with me, so I'll have to schedule my time better with that, but I'm happy to do that. We're going to have to have her on. I was about to say, is she
willing to come on and talk about it with us?
Yeah, I'll scare her into that at least once.
That would be awesome.
More.
Now, is that going to be her first time watching it?
She has watched Season 1, or at least most of Season 1. I think we stopped watching at the season finale of Season 1 because at the time we couldn't get 2-hour and 15-minute chunk to watch the two episode finale and then the next episode. because they're all connected. And so we didn't do that, and so much time passed, she forgets and doesn't want to watch without watching the entirety of that first season again.
I don't blame her. But that would be so awesome to have somebody on the show that has never seen past that, you know? So, yeah,
exactly.
if she wants to come on, man, you make that shit happen.
I'm going to make that happen.
All the information to get a hold of us are on the show notes, our Twitter, our Facebook, and our email. We, if you haven't checked it out yet, we did record our Stargate Chevron Locked RPG podcast, where we got a couple of great listeners on to join us in the adventure. We're actually going to be recording another one here in a few weeks to continue on that story. So if you did listen to it and you liked it, let us know. If you didn't like it, let us know. Let us know what we can change about that. It was our first time, but we had a really damn good time playing that. So thanks for everybody for tuning in, and we will talk to everyone soon.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Chevron Locked. As always, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Chevron Podcast, emailing us at thechevronlocked@gmail.com, or join us on our subreddit at Chevron Locked.